Hi, I'm Bob. I'm an alcoholic. I've been through this process as it's laid out in the Big Book with the help of a Big Book step study sponsor, Loving God. And I work steps 10, 11, and 12 on a daily basis, and I've done my amends. And every once in a while, something comes up from way in my past that I remember, and I clean that up and do due diligence to take care of that amends. I got sober in 2005, August 28th, and I didn't get Alcoholics Anonymous the first time I came here. I bounced in and out of the program. I came here to really learn how to drink again, to get my wife off my butt. I had a lot of fun drinking, and in the end, my life turned to crap. And I kept trying to look for that fun. And when I finally accepted that first step of Alcoholics Anonymous, my life was unmanageable and I was powerless over alcohol. I was powerless over alcohol because I couldn't stop drinking when I started, and my life was unmanageable because everybody hated me. And I had to accept that I had the disease of addiction. And when I did that and I started to come to Alcoholics Anonymous, I did not care about the Big Book, the traditions, the 12. I didn't care about anything. I wanted to be able to go one day without a drink. That's all I cared about. And with the help of the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous and guys that were there before me who said, keep coming back, I was able to do that, to go one day without a drink. And a couple of months after I had been coming to Alcoholics Anonymous, I got involved in the steps. And I got involved in the Big Book step study with one of my friends. And I was very happy and serene, and my sobriety was going well, and my family was going good, and all that kind of stuff, And he said, hey, you might be interested in this Big Book step study. And, when I came to the meeting, and I did the steps the first time, as it was laid out in the Big Book. And when I came to the Big Book step study meeting and I couldn't speak, I was pissed off. He said just have some patience and tolerance, and I went through it again with him, and it was good. And I've come to love the meeting that I go to. It's on Sunday night in Marlboro. I love seeing everybody there. And the first one I did it, I used to say that I didn't think I had any character defects. And they told me that I was a defect looking for character. And I came to see that. And I don't think anybody says I can't wait to do the fourth step. I can't wait to take a look at myself, to uncover, discover, and discard, to change the person that I brought in here. And that's how I'm able to do that. And it tells me that resentment is the number one offender, that I cannot afford the luxury of resentments that other people can. And so I started on that list, and I'm glad that it was laid out the way it was laid out for me, to do the first column and don't worry about the second, third, or fourth. Because if I had been going across the paper, I would have never written down all those names. I wouldn't have written down all the stuff that I had to write down. And I do the fourth step, not for anybody in Alcoholics Anonymous, not anybody else, but for me, to get that bag of crap that I've been carrying around on my back off my back. And I didn't know how to do that. Now, when I read this the first time, Mr. Brown and, Mr. Jones, and this was hieroglyphics. I had no idea what this meant. No clue in the world. If I didn't have somebody else to be my guide, my Big Book step study sponsor, someone else who had been through that process to walk me through, I wouldn't have been able to do that. People don't climb Mount Everest without a guide. I needed a guide to bring me into recovery, to shed those things that had been, ruining my life. Because when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, booze was the only thing that I thought was my problem. But if I pick up a drink today, I will pick up that drink clean and sober. That tells me that it's my thinking. I came to Alcoholics Anonymous for my drinking, and I stay for my thinking. And this is the process that allows me to change the way I perceive the world. The world doesn't change, my perception changes, my reactions change. And this allows me to do that. And that's why the steps for me were in this order. And they're a big, huge part of my life. The steps are like a circle around me. I don't know which one I grab onto during the day, but during the day I'm grabbing a bunch of them at different times. God is in the pause. When I take a pause, that's God speaking to me. Don't say it. It's okay to have to get a resentment, so to speak. It's what do I do with it? I'm a human being. I'm not going to not ever get a resentment. If I'm in the morning, I ask God to please remove my selfishness, my self-centeredness, my fear, and my dishonesty. That I get a daily reprieve from those, contingent on how spiritually fit I am. But if you keep poking me during the day, you are going to find the asshole button. And I don't like that. I don't like coming out the side of my neck. So, obviously, there are 3 things that we work on. One is resentments, fears, and our sexual conduct. And today we talk about resentments. And when I started putting down that first name, and I said, well, I don't know, what's resentment? People, places, or things that you either think screwed you over or pissed you off. That's about as simple as they told me. And that helped me. And when I started writing, I just kept writing, and it was a blast. I would put down the name and what they did, that son of a bitch. Not knowing all the other stuff I had to write. I was in heaven, I was going, this isn't so bad. This is beautiful. Wait till I get to these people and straighten them out. And I don't even know what time I started here, but anyway, I write them down, and a short little blip. The first couple I did, I wrote like a paragraph and a half about this happened and that happened, and they said this and I said that and they said this, and I said, what are you doing? You think I'm going to sit here while you read this? Something that's just going to, give you a remember when. All they have to do really is say the name and what went on, and you're like, and it's like verbal diarrhea, And how did it affect my ambition, my self-esteem, my pocketbook, my sexual relationships, my fear? I write down all those things that it affected. And then, of course, there's the resentment, and then I write down, I take that person, place, or thing out of there, and I write down how it affected, what my part was in it, the turnarounds, okay? Where was I selfish? Where was I self-seeking? Where was I dishonest? And where was I fearful? And those were hard. I'll give you an example. These are questions I give to guys, because it always helps me whenever I think of it. There were questions I used to always ask. When I was selfish, what did I want? What were my motives? What were my expectations of others? Dishonest. How was I lying in the situation? Did I repeat the behavior? Did I use it after the fact for manipulation? Frightened. How was I frightened and what was I fearful of? And self-seeking. This one was hard. What image did I want to portray in that situation? My ego. In the end of my drinking, I was married, had 2 little kids, or 2 kids. They were a little older then, and my wife said to me, I want a divorce, get out of the house. I said, you can't throw me out of this house. I own this house. Police come, they drag you away. I guess you can. One of my resentments was, my wife throwing me out of the house. How was I selfish? I wanted a place to live. I wanted to be with my kids. I love my wife and my kids more than anything in the world. I would have laid my life down for my wife and my kids, but I could not stop drinking for them. If anybody did to my wife and my kids what I did to them when I was drinking, I would hunt them down and I would kill them. What gave me the right? I could not do it without the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. In our family, the whole dynamics changed with the 12 steps of recovery. How was I fearful? I would have no place to live. How was I dishonest? It'll be different this time. I'll stop drinking. Let me stay. Let me stay. We won't argue. We won't scream. I'll be good. My self-esteem. What will the neighbors think? What will everyone think? You know what they'll think? Thank God she threw them out. She should have done it before. That's what they would have thought. And my ego. I love the sick man prayer because when I read the sick man prayer, everyone on my resentment list must have been sick. That's what I thought. Many of them, no, they didn't. They were just regular people. A lot of my resentments, too, were things that people didn't do that I was mad about that they never knew I wanted them to do. And so anyway, I did that, and as you go through the rest of it, you can take a look at it. But it tells me that if I don't do this, it will be fatal. Basically, I will drink again. I will drink again. And I didn't want to drink again. And when I look at that list, I could move people, places, or things around and put them anywhere on that list. And it showed a pattern of the way I am. Fear-driven. Fear-driven. What are people going to think of me? I was just telling Denise on the way in here, my boss, this is an example that I need to stay spiritually fit. Today I'm married 30 years. My kids are graduated. The kids are graduated from college. I have a job that I travel to the U.S. and Canada. I travel every week. It's been nice. I've been home the week. My wife says to me, "Are you going to shave?" I said, "Nope, not today." She goes, "That's okay. You're sober." She has a magnet on the refrigerator that says "Wicked Sober," which is cool. Every time I look at it, I go, in 10 years sober, my son called me up and he said, "Dad, I want to thank you for, not drinking and going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and we have a family today." I can't buy that. I can't sell that, but I can help someone else get that, But I under this is that my boss I send this email, my boss says, "Sounds like you're venting." And I said, "Well, yeah, I kind of am." He called me, "Yeah, I kind of am." So that night, I get back from a meeting, and there's a thing on my email that says he wants a meeting. The next, I see meeting request. I'm like, shit, they're gonna fire me, And it's all going through my head. My wife says to me, I go, I said, "You won't believe he wants a meeting." She goes, "Didn't they just give you a raise last week?" I said, "Yeah, they gave me a nice raise. And on top of it, they paid me for last year, the raise. So they sent me a check for a whole year for last year and then for the raise that's next year." She goes, "Well, don't you think they're happy?" "Yeah, I know, but I gotta go like this." I go up there and I look. The meeting is in the end of January, And it's a meeting that we have every 3 months to see if I'm happy and if everything's okay. But when I saw it, I'm getting fired. That's alcoholic thinking. That's alcoholic thinking. And that's why I come to AA. I never heard anybody say they picked up a drink because they went to too many meetings. They picked up a drink because they pray too much. You know, people in their life are mad at them because the steps are too prevalent in my life. I'm too spiritually fit. That's why it's going this way. So anyway, it's good to be here, Clean and Sober. Thanks.